Cycle Jerks.
Hey, get out of the road, dummy.
Cycle Jerks Podcast.
All right, welcome everybody to Cycle Jerks Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Stewart, and this morning I'm very excited to have a returning guest, Vanessa Hauswald's husband, and a gravel Hall of Famer and racing legend Yuri Hauswald joining me on the podcast. Yuri, welcome.
Oh, thanks, Mike. Really flattered by your intro and stoked to be back and chat with you about what we have coming this year in 2026.
Yes, and I thought it would be great to kind of cover what you're doing because you're flipping the script a little bit, and you've had a prolific racing career, obviously, but more recently you've been more in this ambassador role and flourishing in that role and doing all kinds of cool projects and everything. But this year, you've decided to get back after it, and
True.
yeah, you're no spring chicken like me.
Nope.
Let's talk about that. How's that going?
Yeah, so let's tell people what I'm doing first.
Yes.
So give everybody a little bit of context. Even though I swore I would never do Unbound 200 again because I have six or seven of those, in my quiver over the years. I was asked this year by the Lifetime Foundation, which is the charitable side of the race series, to race for charity, to race for one of their charities that's going to be raising funds for a local bike park and bike infrastructure in Emporia, Kansas. And as you well know, my first Unbound was in 2013. That event has changed the trajectory of my life, and I've been back every year since. So, riding for a cause that is much larger than me was the motivation to decide to come out of retirement, air quotes there,
Right.
because like you, I love riding my bike. I almost ride my bike every day. But for the past 6 years, I have not done any like structured training. I just ride to ride, which is great, right? As you know, you have amazing baseline fitness, but you don't see those spikes of really good race fitness because racing, as you pointed out in your intro, hasn't really been part of my focus the last few years. While I will toe the line at the big races, I'm more in it for the camaraderie and maybe ushering other people through events together, expose them to something. So I decided if I was going to tackle the 200, I wanted to be my best personal 55-year-old self when I showed up this year, almost 56 when the race comes around. Not that age is a limiter, but I just figured, if I'm my best self, I can raise more money. And if I'm going to take this seriously, which I want to, and I am, that I would get a coach. So, Serena Gordon, a longtime friend, former Giant, Live
Yeah.
Giant International pro racer. She's a GU athlete that I've worked with for a number of years. She's the founder of Special Blend Gravel Camps for women. I've helped coach at those. She's a coach. We worked really closely last year, actually, on her run up to the XL, where she set a new women's record, but so did Heather Jackson, who
Yeah.
happened to beat her. So Serena had an amazing day out there in the Flint Hills, ended up second, setting a new women's record. So we have a really good rapport, respect for each other. So I reached out to Serena. I was like, hey, would you want to coach this old dog? And she was like, oh, yeah. So, and I just want to let your viewers or listeners know that like I haven't worked with any metrics, heart rate, or power for 6 years. So like she didn't have a lot of like historical data per se to work with beyond just hours and mileage. Um, and we started working together like end of 2025, December, and has crafted a plan for me to slowly build towards Unbound. And so it's been really exciting and fun to actually have some structure in my life to like focus on some numbers again. I don't know, it makes you feel accomplished, right? It's like ticking that thing on your to-do list getting your homework done or something like that. And so, while I'm not maybe riding as long as I have in the past, my rides are really impactful and I'm getting the most out of them. And it's actually been super fun to, I'm going to say, awaken or like blow the blow the cobwebs off certain systems that I
Yeah.
haven't activated, like my VO2 and stuff like that, in a long time. And I've seen some progress already. I really have. I've like you, I've ridden by feel a lot. Like we've done this long enough that we kind of know our bodies and power and speeds and things we can hold. And
Yeah.
um, as we age, that changes too. Uh, and so it's been super fun working with her. Gives me like plan to follow every week. I feel like I'm productive and I've seen some proof in the pudding. I raced this past weekend at the Grasshopper. I did the 60 miler, the Huffmaster, had a good day out there, testing the engines. And yeah, we're just going to keep building, sprinkling in a few more races as I build to the ultimate day, which is Unbound. And where they'll have me start dead last, Mike, and I will chase the whole field for 200 miles. And fundraising will be predicated on how many people I catch.
Oh man. Yeah, I love the concept of chase the race. Was that something that you came up with or
It was a combined collaborative effort with the folks at Lifetime, with Christy Moan and a woman named Sarah Mola, who is, I think, the managing sort of director of the foundation. And we were kicking around a few ideas. That was the one we landed on. There's a play on the word chase too, because the race goes through Chase County, Kansas. And for those really geeky out there, the Chase vest, which I helped design and develop for Camelback way in the day,
oh
the sort of the first hydration pack, because I was a longtime Camelback athlete, was named after Chase County, Kansas.
wow.
Um, and so there's just, and plus it just kind of rolls off the tongue kind of nicely. Chase the race. That's what I'm going to be doing. So that's how we came up with that. And then I will say, I just have to give a shout out to Lisa Congdon, the artist, cyclist, friend of mine, who has generously offered up her artistic skills and designed me a custom kit so people will know who I am when I go by. And it's will be part of some other fundraising efforts that we lean into leading up to the event.
Oh, very cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can't imagine as a 200 athlete getting passed by Yuri. I don't think that's going to be like demoralizing. It'd be like, "Yeah,
No.
hell yes, you know.
Yeah.
But
That's the goal, Mike. I mean, I'm excited because this is going to provide me a completely different like perspective on the race, coming from the back instead of starting at the front and being at the pointy end for a bit and then doing whatever you do. But
yeah,
to that end, though, I wanted to create something that would allow me to interact with folks more too. And so I'm going to have what we're calling golden tickets in my pocket. So
oh,
anybody listening to this or watching this who may be doing Unbound, be sure you say hello to me when I go by because I'm going to have some golden tickets that will be redeemable for some swag from some of my sponsors. And it's just a fun way to like give back, stoke people out who might, you know, not be in a great place at that point, but hopefully like a brief hello, an encounter, a high five, like, hey, here's something for your efforts, will fire them up. So just trying to like make this as fun as possible. So
dude, you're bringing the stoke. That's what you
yeah,
do. That
yeah.
you can make it rain out there.
Yeah, don't say that. You might jinx us, dude. Yeah. Don't
Yeah, that's
say
the
that.
last thing we need out
It's
there.
the last thing I want out there, even though I'm
Yeah.
okay in the rain and mud there, but that's the last thing we want. So yeah.
Yeah. It's cool to think about like you said, 2013, and then you've been every year since. And
Yeah.
I know as long as I've known you, you've always said, "Oh, you need to go do it." And I finally did it last year and I signed up again. I'm doing it again this year. And I don't know how many of these things, but it is one of those special events, special places the community, not just the cycling community that is in attendance there, but the just the community, the people of Emporia and the
Yeah.
surrounding areas just really they shine and they support the race, and it's something that's really special. And once you experience it, it's like you want to just keep going, and
I
as
know
hard as
it's
it is.
yeah, I'm glad that you pointed that out because that is one of the things that really jumped out at me when I did my first in 2013. For those that know their gravel history, gravel wasn't really a thing then. And being from Northern California, we
Yeah,
didn't have gravel out here really at that time. We had the Grasshopper series, which was more of like a mixed terrain kind of thing, but wasn't technically or called gravel just yet. But it was the Midwestern hospitality, like that warm embrace of the community. And I fell in love with that, the terrain. And those are some of the reasons why I keep going back. And the fact that I have been going back so many years now, it's like many of those folks in the communities are, non-blood family now.
yeah,
And so I'm just really excited to do something that's going to leave like a lasting impact with my pedal strokes,
yeah,
because while racing and results and standing on the podium, like that's all well and good. But like to know that I will hopefully raise, our goal is to raise over $50,000. Um,
man.
that could build something that's going to help kids get stoked out on bikes in the epicenter of gravel is just like it's the end all for me. I'm really, really excited. And circling back to wanting to be my best athletic self and working with a coach for 6 months and just buckling down. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, you find the more layers of motivation you can add to the pile, just can really help you in times of need. I know, I've done some events for charity and some harder, longer things I've ever done, and you know, there's just those moments where you need something, and then you think about, well, okay,
Yeah.
this is the moment I'm in, but this is what I'm doing it for. And so, very cool that after all these years, you're going to give back to the community that's been so instrumental in your life and your career. And that's awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, to your point, like, right, when you're riding for others or you tap into that, it gives you like a renewed sense of drive and motivation, and it might help you work through that low period that you're having out there in the Flint
Yeah.
Hills. Um, yeah, so I definitely plan on tapping into that. And then just, you know, with this whole golden ticket thing, trying to tap into stoking others out who are out there for the first time or doing something that they never thought they could do. And like you, right, who we've been doing this for so long, you see people surprise themselves with what they're able to accomplish. And that's super rewarding. So yeah, I'm fired up, man.
Well, I'm, looking at you right now. I mean, you're looking lean and mean. I gotta believe if you're going to be handing out golden tickets, you better have a big pad of tickets, dude.
Well, I'm not saying I'm gonna be able to give them to everybody. I think we're gonna have a set amount. I don't know what it is yet.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 or so. Um, but we're gonna lean into that too as we start. It hasn't been fully announced yet. We plan to announce it in April when I go to Unbound Camp because I'll have my new kit from Lisa. Um, but I want people to know about it so they engage with me, so they say hello. So maybe, it snaps them out of that moment. They see me, we have a brief exchange out there, and then they forget about whatever's been bugging them and they pedal on for another 20, 30 miles and
Uh-huh.
keep
Yeah,
moving
mate. I
forward.
was
So,
listening to your Hall of Fame speech, that was a beautiful speech, but like
thank you.
you said, the guy coming in, I forget the guy's name, but he's like, breathe, there's oxygen all around you.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah, yeah,
maybe pull some of that on some people, get them
yeah.
fired up. That
Oh,
was
that's
pretty
super
funny.
funny that you remember that line from that. That guy is actually in town right now, my friend
Oh,
Tim, which is great. But yeah, there's oxygen all around you out there. Beautiful landscape. It's stunning. There
yeah.
also could be mud. There also could be gnarly heat or headwinds. All those things. So we just have to embrace all the elements and figure out how we get through them. So.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I definitely want to touch on the Hall of Fame
Sure,
induction because that's a great honor. But I want to get to that in a little bit because I want to touch a little bit more on your racing and the approach to the training. At
sure.
55, I know for me personally, I just call it like endurance mode, where it's like zone two, zone
Yep.
three, mostly zone three, but zone two, three is kind of where I live, and I very rarely get like you said, bust it, blow the cobwebs off and get into those zone four and zone five
Yeah.
modes. And I know she got this new partnership with iFit and you're doing these, is it? Yeah, can you
Well,
talk
it's
about that?
yes, it is. It's not a new partnership. It's something I started in 2020, actually, right
Oh, no
around the
kidding.
pandemic. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so it says I'm an iFit trainer. I'm not a, I mean, yes, I coach people, I guess, sort of through this cycling. It's an online cycling platform where people can hop on their Nordic track bike. They hit the screen, be like, oh, I want to ride with Yuri in Iceland, or I want to ride with Yuri in Arches, Utah, or I want to ride with Yuri along the coast of California. And I think I've done maybe 6 to 8 series with them now.
Oh, okay.
Um, and so that is not part of my training per se, but it's been a super fun platform to inspire others and give them some skills and knowledge around, bike racing, share story. I've actually had some really, really amazing encounters, Mike, with people who have done my rides, who have been introduced to gravel through my rides, virtual,
Awesome.
right? And then get a bike or go for a ride themselves. And I've had probably close to a dozen people in the last 5 years come up to me at events, at a cycling event, be like, I ride with you and I'm here at this gravel event because I wanted to see what I could do. And it's just like
Oh,
goosebumps, like, oh my God, like that's the best
inc-
compliment you can possibly receive as a trainer is to have somebody take those skills, take their newfound confidence and put it into practice and see the smile on their face or that sense of accomplishment. So that's what I love most about my time with iFit. Um, I don't know if I'll be doing more series this year with them, but I just had a new one. I'm glad you brought it up. I just had a new series drop on Wednesday that I shot last
yeah.
August along the coast of California, which is my backyard. Um, so yeah, that's been a fun sort of tangential offshoot of my cycling career because way back in the day, you'll appreciate this. I taught spin class in a gym, made my own mixtapes way back when.
Nice.
And then I was a school teacher for 13 years. So all of this is kind of just like wrapped up into one thing that just allows me to exercise all the things I love doing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a culmination of your life experience and it's all plays nicely together.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that about iFit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was that long of a partnership, and I can't imagine that feeling that you just explained. That you don't even know this person, and they just find you and just like, hey,
Yeah.
I've been riding with you, dude, and
Yeah.
that's got to be. I mean,
It
geez, how much
it's
better
it's
does it get that as a
it, it
cyclist? I
It,
mean,
it
come
it
on.
really doesn't. And the only way that it has gotten better is that I have actually um, been able to ride with a couple folks in
Oh,
person who met me on the platform, who I get messages all the time via IG. Someone said they just did this and love that, or ask questions about bikes, or I'm doing this event. What do you think? And last year I had a couple out who were out from the East Coast who knew I lived out here. I had been messaging with one of them over the year about my workouts. They were in town. I took them for my backyard loop, and it's like you can't put a value on those kind of experiences. And it was just super fun to spend an afternoon riding with them in real life and showing them, some of my favorite roads. So yeah, I hope I get to do more this year. We'll see.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, well, I got a little sidetracked there, but
Yeah,
the I wanted to touch on this idea because, as an old person, you get kind of stuck in your ways and generally riding, we've ridden together, zone two, zone three is kind of where we live, and we're not doing the hardcore
yeah,
interval training and the stuff that makes you fast,
yeah.
right? We're still, quote unquote, in good shape or whatever, but we're not blowing it out. So
Mm-mm.
now at having a coach you got to blow it out. And
Yeah.
so, what is that like?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, it hurts.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
hurts at times. I mean, I will tell you the first workout Serena had me do out of the gate was some VO2 max efforts just to get a baseline
mm-hmm,
and talk about blowing the cobwebs out. I think I sent her a picture after I had to do like 6 by 2 minute efforts or something like that as one of the first ones.
yeah,
And I just sent her a short video afterwards. I was like drooling and snotting on myself, I was like, see what you did to me. And but like while it did hurt, it felt kind of good to go to that place again, which I hadn't gone, like you're saying, Z4, maybe even into five.
yeah,
Um, and so that was the beginning. And obviously, like not activating those systems for so many years, uh, it took a little bit of time to um, feel a little bit better about those workouts. So I will say, Serena has sprinkled in, some VO2s, what she calls like over unders. She has me do some tempo work that then goes up to like my threshold power, throwing in short sprint type stuff. She's just all these different ways to sort of build my higher end, which has languished, for
yeah,
years. It's not something that I wanted to choose to do during my rides because we know it hurts a bit, but having her plan and having complete faith in her, like when she says go ride an hour and a half, but do these very specific intervals, I only go and ride an hour and a half, where in years past, I probably would have gone and ridden for 3 hours, but wouldn't have done the intervals and wouldn't have gotten the most out of the workout.
yeah,
So I'm kind of riding a bit less, but getting more out of it. We will build as the year goes. I mean, just 3 weeks ago, um, I had like one of my biggest weeks in my whole career. Like a 26-hour week, like 350 miles or something like that. Lots of
yeah,
climbing. This was down in the desert. So that was like a big block. And then, she had me do a little bit of rest. And now we're back into like today, I have to go out and um, I have these like 18-minute blocks that are like progressive builds. Um, and I don't do heart rate anymore. I don't know about you. So I just focus on my power, which
yeah,
I find is a more, I don't know, more reliable number.
yeah. It's
And
more
allows me
accurate.
to,
It's like real
yeah,
time.
real time. You're
Yeah,
seeing it.
yeah,
Um, and so that's kind of what I've been gauging, my efforts around. So yeah, it's been really fun and having a coach, yes, they are like there to train you, but they're also kind of like a therapist too. And
yeah,
since we're good friends, we can talk about all sorts of things. We've spent hundreds of hours together riding bikes. Um, so it's fun to know that, I can text her and say, I wasn't feeling it today, and she'll adjust something, or, text her like, oh, I nailed that block today. Like, look at those numbers, see what you think. And, I am not a data guy, obviously. I don't know
yeah,
how to analyze any of that stuff, but it's fun to know that she's able to see that, see progress, and then build this smart plan for me that takes into account, my busy schedule, which is also really, if folks in your audience are thinking about getting a coach, find one who's willing to work around your life, because obviously like work, life, family is first and foremost. Um, and so it's fun to know that there's a little bit of flexibility. We work about 2 weeks out, look at my travel schedule, see how she can plug things in. So it's sort of a collaborative effort on that side of how we plan it to fit my life. Um, and yeah, it's been working. I will So to that point, in opening up systems and blowing out the cobwebs, the grasshopper last weekend, I did the 60 miler. They started us all together. I think there was maybe 100 or so folks in the 60 miler. Um, and I just decided to go to the front right away. Why not?
Sure.
And just string it out and see what happens and just settle into my diesel mode. And so that's what we did for like the first 13 miles. There was some rotating, some people pulling super hard, and made it through one of the first climbs in the front group of like 20. And then there was a long extended climb. And I'm not a climber. And so that's where I suffered a bit and went over the climb in like 18th, chewing on my stem, drooling all over myself, trying to stay near that front group, knowing though that I still had like 40 miles left
Yeah.
to bring people back. And that's what ended up happening. Ended up catching folks, getting in groups. And what happened at the end speaks to the specificity of what Serena's been having me do. I'm also not a sprinter. And I was in a group of four, all of them at least 10 years my junior. Not that that's a thing. Uh,
It is a thing though.
it is, but I don't like to like
Yeah,
lean
right.
into that too much or use it as an excuse or a crutch or whatever.
Right.
But I ended up winning the 4 up sprint, and getting seventh overall and second, what I say, second old fucker, second 50 plus rider in the event. So I was really pleased. It was a good test of the engines. It wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. I was hoping to be in the top five overall,
Sure.
to be totally honest. But seventh was good. Good day. My fueling was good. Um,
Yeah.
and most importantly, though, like it gave me the opportunity to test the systems that I started opening up back in January to see that they actually work still, Mike.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think you gotta, I mean, that's a great result. And you're still early in this thing. You just
Yes.
started in December
Yeah.
and the goal is at the end of May. So
Yeah.
I'd say you're right on pace. You certainly don't want to be peaking too early. And I'm sure Sabrina's got you, she's got all that figured out. But I don't know. Is it hard to stick to that schedule, right? Because like you said, 6 years, no power.
Yeah.
You just going on feel. You go out, you ride your bike, you have fun. Zone two, zone three is fun. You're
Yep.
working out and you're having fun, and it's exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what makes cycling, I think, really enjoyable. Is you just kind of settle in, you find your lane, and that's what you do. Now you've got, okay, well, on Monday, I need you to do
Hmm.
20 minutes of this and then
Yep.
30 minutes of that. And, and it's just like, oh, okay, am I having fun now?
Well, I'm glad you were talking about this because I wasn't so sure if I would be having fun
Yes.
because part of having this structure in your life obviously means I need to forego doing maybe some fun rides with friends that pop up out of the blue. It limits my ability just to be sort of free and easy with what I'm doing ride wise.
Yep.
But it's only 6 months out of my life is what I've been telling myself because I'm gonna work with her up through Unbound, and
Okay.
then we're gonna probably shutter it unless we come up with some other later season goal, and then I'll do it through the year. But I figured I could do anything for 6 months, um, and yeah, it's while it has taken away sort of the by the seat of my pants, where am I going to go today? It's also, you know, forced me to be really focused and organized with my time, whether it's my life time, whether it's my work time, my training time. Um, it forces me to do a little bit more planning with my life, for better or worse, so I can look ahead at my schedule, see when I have meetings, see when I can squeeze in that 2 hour effort. It just forces us to be a little bit more thoughtful with our planning and focus and how we can plug it all in. And it's surprising how much we can squeeze into a day when we really like get focused on it. So I'm actually enjoying the process. And a lot of that is because my coach is willing to work with me and understands that I have a busy schedule. She knows me very well. Um, And so there is some flexibility there. I don't want people in your audience to think that, you have to stick to the plan every day. Like, your coaches know that life things will pop up. You might get sick or this or that. And so the ability to be flexible, adjust, but still hit the things you're needing to be hit, like that can all be accomplished. And it doesn't totally suck the fun out of it. I mean, I had a great time racing at the Grasshopper because I had unmothballed those systems right
Yeah.
in me, and
Yeah.
I was able to stay in that front group with the young bucks and uh, throw it down at the very end, which felt really, really good. So
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's fun getting fast and being fast.
it is.
That is fun, but
Yeah.
there's a process there. Now, so
There is
shout
a
out to
process.
Serena for
Yeah.
getting you there. And is she actually taking new clients and maybe, somebody that hears this might be inspired, want to get in on it?
Yes, I'd love to give her a plug. She's an amazing coach, super thoughtful, thinks about the whole person
Hmm.
when she's approaching plans. I don't know if I have recommended a couple people to her. I don't know if her plate is completely full, but I will be leaving in June, so that might open up a
Open a
space if
slot.
somebody open a slot for somebody who might want to work with her. Highly recommend working with her. I know Lisa Congdon is coached by her, um, and Lisa last year, I'll just say, was coming off of double knee replacement surgery,
Oh,
and we
wow.
rode we rode the 50 together. And she had an amazing day out there, partly due to Serena getting her prepared
Hmm.
physically for that event. So, yeah, if people are interested in getting in touch with Serena, you could probably find her on IG or you could go through me. But again, yeah, come Unbound. I most likely will no longer be on her coached roster.
Well, it's good that you have kind of like that in your mind, but if you find some magic, you just don't know where this whole thing's going to lead you.
I
I
see
think
where
you
you're
have an
going with
idea.
this, Mike.
Yeah.
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 You're trying to get me to do this all year, man. I don't know. So,
Well, I love it. I just like I say, as an old person, I was inspiring to hear this what you're doing, and makes me the fact that you're 55 and you're seeing this this
yes.
improvement, because for me, like my North Star was like 2017. I would feel like I was the fastest at
Hmm.
2017, and so trying to get, you know, compare those numbers, sometimes it's like, oh man, can I
Right?
ever get back there? But probably, with
Yeah.
proper coaching, maybe you
You know,
could.
it's, dude, it's funny that you're saying 2017 because that's the year I'm trying to mimic this year for me as my best personal self. That's really weird, the serendipity of you pointing out 2017, because
Yeah,
2017 was the year I threw down my fastest time at Unbound.
yeah,
Wasn't the year I won, and I was nowhere near the podium in 2017 because the complexion of that race had already changed and the horsepower had gone through the roof.
yeah.
But I did an 11:55, which now doesn't even, I think, get you in the top 200 maybe. But
No,
that's the number I'm shooting for. Here we are, what, 9 years later, 8 years later. I'm hoping
crazy.
to be Yuri of 2017 and beat 11:55. So that's the more I say that goal, the more I need to do the work, but that's the number I'm shooting for. If I can get under 12, I think I will be able to raise a lot of money for folks.
Well, I know myself, I will be rooting for you, and I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this podcast. And that's something that resonates, I think, with everyone that
Yeah.
rides a bike, that tracks, keeps track of themselves, takes it seriously. There's always like, oh, when I was, whatever, when I was 20
Yeah.
pounds lighter, or when I was, at this age, or whatever it is. And so if you can turn back the clock, man, that's gonna be really exciting stuff. Yeah.
That's the plan, bro. Let's
Yeah.
let's mess with Father Time here and see if we can Benjamin Button this a little bit and go backwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, all signs are pointing in the right direction.
Yeah. It's
And
encouraging for
I
sure.
just want to, yeah, like to your point, like it's never too late to start, folks. Like no matter your
Yeah.
age, we can always improve.
Mhm.
Brad Stolberg, like a sports psychologist, I read a lot of his stuff. They talk about just getting that 1%, every day or every week. If you can improve just that 1%, those add up over time.
Yeah.
And so, I'm looking for that 1% for the next 6 months. And maybe it'll add up to me beating that 11:55 come end of May. We'll see.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, so with Serena, is she uh does she dictate your diet also?
Mm-mm.
No. So is that
Go
part of
ahead.
it? I mean, is there some general concepts like, hey, you want to be keeping your caloric intake here, your protein here. Is there that type of guideline, or does she kind of let you sort that out?
I'm sure she's totally able and capable to provide that kind of service for folks,
Hmm.
but being a bit of an old dog, kind of set in my eating ways and habits and having those like established meals, like that we eat regularly or eat in the morning before we go do a big ride or post ride and stuff like that.
Hmm.
My diet, like in day-to-day life, has not been part of our conversation. Not that it shouldn't be or that it couldn't be from her expertise side of things. It just wasn't part of ours because I think she feels like I kind of have that under control. Her concern with me is more my nutrition on the bike. Uh, Ironically, I work for Goo,
Yeah.
uh, but I tend to underfuel. I underfuel during training, and she's been on me about eating more when I go out. I don't know about you, but I'm guessing you and I are cut from a similar cloth. You go out for a 2.5, 3 hour ride. I'm not necessarily hitting those 300 calories per hour like you probably should be. I undercalorie because you want to stay lean and mean and come back and have that recovery drink, and then maybe you don't eat lunch. And then only eat dinner. So I'm not saying those are the healthiest habits, but those are that's sort of my pattern a
Yeah.
wee bit. So she's really been on me about eating more when I'm training and racing because I'm underfueling myself. And that will actually allow you to, like, go figure, more fuel in your system will allow you to perform better. Um, so I'm working on that. I made a real conscious effort during the Grasshopper when I was racing to have, two 300 plus calorie bottles of Roctane drink mix on my bike, a hydration pack with fluids and some electrolyte capsules in it because it was hot. And then I think I stuck primarily to liquid calories and I did 6 Roctane gels for the 3 hour effort, which
Okay.
was good for me. I don't I don't really eat gels when I'm training. Racing I do, and I was really shooting for like 2 gels an hour and a bit of caloric fluids and plain water. So, and it worked. I felt good. I didn't have any bonks. I fought through some cramps at one point, but that was about it.
Yeah, the gels, are you doing the caffeine gels or mixing it, or how does that work?
Yeah, I want to say sports nutrition in general is very specific to each individual. So what works for me may not work for you.
Hmm.
That also goes for caffeine. Um, I'm drinking my cup of coffee right now. I probably have a high tolerance for caffeine. So those were all caffeinated gels that I was taking. I don't give a ton of thought, for better or worse, to whether a gel has caffeine or not. It's purely based on flavor, usually.
Hmm.
And sea salt chocolate happens to be like my favorite go-to flavor. It has caffeine. Um, I will then usually on like hot, humid days pivot to more fruity flavors. And some may have caffeine or not, but I don't get super hung up on the caffeine levels. My bottles were non-caffeinated calories. Um, and oftentimes I will alternate back and forth depending upon how long the effort is, but it really is personal preference, and people need to practice and play around with their nutrition because we all have different tolerances to caffeine. Oftentimes people have their morning coffee, will race non-caffeinated stuff, but for the last couple hours, when they may be needing to pin it harder or know they're coming to the finish, then they'll bring caffeine back into their system. It's truly something people need to practice. Um, but I tend to go like caffeinated gels for the bulk of an event.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, I don't have caffeine at all. I just
Ah,
I drink water and then I'll have
yeah.
some mix in my bottles or whatever. But if I'm just outside of on my bike, it's just water. And but at Unbound, um, so I did some longer rides leading up because I'd never done a 360 mile. I've never done it
Yeah.
before. So I did a couple, 250s before Unbound and felt like I was really one was 200, one was yeah, about 200 and then the other one was like 240. And I for that I would stop at the gas station and I got Cokes. And
Yeah.
first of all, it's really crazy how great a Coke tastes when you're
Yeah.
famished, like that.
Yes.
You're just, yeah, it's exactly what you need. And then
Yeah.
after, I've tried Cokes just recreationally since. It's just syrupy sugar. It just tastes terrible. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I did for Unbound because I knew there was a lot of gas station
Yeah. The
stop,
Casey's. Yeah.
yeah, opportunities. So I thought, well, let me just try this, and yeah, it really seemed to work for me. And so, yeah, so caffeine can be a nice little boost, especially if you getting a little sleepy or whatever,
it
not feeling
and
it.
it, to your point, it's good to like for those that don't know, and you were being humble, you did the XL. So folks, you said you did Unbound, and people probably assume the 200. You did the XL, which is 360 miles, and you don't have any aid stations, and you have these Casey's, which are like the Midwest version of 7-Eleven. So it was
Yeah.
good in your training that you were going and hitting convenience stores to practice your nutrition, what you would have available to you most likely. So again, circling back to that idea of practicing your nutrition is super important because you can have all the fitness in the world, but if you're not putting gas in the tank, the right gas, um, you're going to sputter and not
Well,
and not perform as well.
I actually got that from I don't know if it's an interview that you did, but I heard you at some point you were talking about trying to minimize your rest stop times.
Hmm.
And so I didn't want to go into the race and then go into a convenience store and then start shopping.
Yeah,
I wanted to go into the convenience store, grab my things, and just go to the
out.
register out. And
Yep.
so, yeah, that was something that I took from all your years of wisdom there. Yeah, so I
Thanks.
appreciate that,
Thanks.
and it did
Yeah,
did the trick for me too, for
yeah.
sure.
Are
Um,
you doing the XL this year? Are you
I
going back for
am,
the XL?
yeah,
Yes. All
yes.
right. Awesome.
So I'm excited, and last year I had this really weird thing that happened. Unfortunately, I was in Santa Rosa riding with a new account of mine, and I went down on the week before, and I tore my ACL. I didn't know,
Oh,
yeah, I didn't know that I tore. I mean, I was pretty sure that I did, but they couldn't get me in for an MRI before I was getting on a plane. So they took a X-ray, and then I kind of, I don't want to say I had their blessing, but they're just kind of like, you know.
yeah.
We can get you in for an MRI on this date. And the guy even said, he goes, well, if I told you not to do it, would you not do it? I said, no, dude, I'm going. And he's like, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like,
they know
okay.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my knee has, like, I've had two ACL surgeries in that knee, and I
Yeah.
have a lot of arthritis in the knee. And he was pointing out the arthritis, and he's just like, we replace knees that look a lot better than this. So at this point, just go
You're not
for
going to damage it more.
it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for
But
it. They
what the weird thing was is like even with they drained my knee and gave me a cortisone shot, and then I went and tested it. I literally had one day. I had one day I tested it, did some climbing, I felt fine. Fine. And then but then during the race, there's a lot of these drainage thing cut into the trail that go, kind of right to left across the trail. And I was in a group of like 20 or so, just hammering early in the race. I think maybe 10 miles in. So everybody's just
yeah.
pinning it. And the nobody called out. I don't know if it would have mattered, but nobody called out this drainage ditch that was like maybe 5 inches deep or whatever. And I hit that thing and like for whatever I like hyperextended my knee And then from then on, I couldn't stand and climb.
Oh,
So I had to sit the entire, I mean, I did stand on the descents, but it's just one little climb after
yeah,
another. And I actually got this little system that was working really good where I was climbing in the saddle and I would work my way to the front of our group. And then on the descents, I would stand and just like put my pelvis as far forward as I could just to stretch out my back because my back was cramping really bad because I was favoring my left leg.
yeah,
But the way that worked for like 200 miles sounds crazy saying that, but that's how I went. And I was able to stay with that group, and it was a good group. But then at mile 200 to 277, I think it was at the next rest stop, and the trajectory of the climbing changes to where the climbs are longer and the descents are way shorter.
yeah.
So that stretch was was really brutal. I got to that the rest stop. I don't know if you know, like it was run by these local ladies.
Hmm.
There was and they made like some hamburger pasta
Oh my
and they had
goodness.
homemade lemonade and stuff. And it was like at this
Oh,
little park on a corner. And like I literally was doing yoga because I was in so much pain. My back was just, it was unbelievable. But those ladies, they filled me. I mean, the one lady, she's like rubbing my back and, talking all nice to me and everything. It was like,
yeah,
she's an angel, she's
yeah,
just like
totally.
exactly what I needed when I needed. And I had the hamburger pasta, it was amazing, had a Coke, and then
Yeah,
on to the finish, and, but yeah, so that was a really unique experience where this year I still have a torn ACL, but I'm really hoping that I'll be able to, give, throttle a little bit more than I
yeah,
did last year. I got through it and I was happy with my time, everything. I felt pretty good about everything, but just knowing what I had to go through to get there and that, I was happy because of the perseverance. Because I did,
yeah,
like at 40 miles, I was thinking, what am I doing here? I'm
yeah,
not going to finish. It was
yeah.
already in my head that I wasn't going to finish but yeah, just stuck to it. I'm stubborn. Us old guys, we're
We
stubborn.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
yeah.
listen, I don't want to, I know you got to get rolling here not too long, and I want to talk about the Hall of Fame. I think we could talk
Sure.
about racing and strategy and all that
All
all
day.
afternoon, but the Hall of Fame induction,
Yeah.
in 2023,
Yep.
you were rightfully inducted into the Gravel Cycling Hall of Fame, and what an honor, first of all. But if anybody's worthy of it, obviously you're definitely worthy of that honor. And the induction, Dan Hughes gives you the introduction. I mean, that must be awesome. Dan, a complete legend himself.
Yeah.
And then and your speech was really beautiful.
Thank you.
And the tribute you did to Vanessa was something that must have been really special for you to
Yeah.
be able to convey that in front of everybody. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Oh man, that was truly, truly like a special few days for me, the whole induction ceremony. Um,
Yeah.
so I decided to invite three of my longest running cycling buddies out to join me on a ride from Lawrence to Emporia for the Hall of Fame. So my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, who I actually raced with early in my career before I even knew his sister. He and I were friends. He was a pro mountain bike racer. Then my buddy, who you mentioned about breathe, there's oxygen all
Yeah.
around you. My friend Tim, who I've spent countless hours with riding. He's actually coming back to do Unbound this year.
Oh, great.
And then my dear friend Dan Jaber, who was actually sort of my gateway drug into the mountain bike scene back in like 95. I met him at a Napa Valley World Cup back in the day. He
Hmm.
had a small clothing company that he had founded. We hit it off. He was is an amazing human. Shared his passion for cycling with me, brought me into his circle, right?
Yeah.
Like took me under his wing. And now, I'm like the godfather to his grown kids. So I got to bring those three out. We had an amazing day and a half of riding together. My brother-in-law had never ridden in Kansas before, so he had no idea what this gravel phenomena was that I'd been talking about for the last decade. And then, obviously having my wife there, a bit of a backstory was she probably shouldn't have been traveling at that time. She was dealing with the more collateral damage from being a cancer survivor and was in an extreme amount of pain and discomfort, but chose to come out, and so she could be there for this really important ceremony. And so, like, just my tribute to her was people didn't know that she was actually really suffering bad, like that moment.
Wow.
Um, and so, yeah, and then to have Dan Hughes, who, Dan and I didn't start out as friends way back when.
Yeah.
Dan and I actually met maybe in 2011 or 2012 on one of the old Specialized rides to Vegas. I got to join a few of those
Okay.
uh, through a friend of mine who owned a Specialized concept store. And let's just say Dan and I weren't friends on that ride. And then, in 2013, I was the dude from California that shows up and kind of uh, lights things up a little bit. He ended up getting me that year, but it sort of stoked this rivalry. Um, and now we're, super close, dear friends. It's funny what like shared miles can do,
Oh yeah.
and have a deep respect for the guy. So yeah, to have somebody of Dan's stature, I mean, Dan is like the Eddie Merckx, right, of
Yeah.
gravel, having so many different big, big events, foundational events,
Yeah.
under his belt. Uh, yeah, and so that just the whole evening was really, really special. And then one of my athletes was also there, Jack Ultra Cyclist, who was attempting the
Oh,
XL, and he was staying with us. And it was the first time I had met him in person because it was all via Zoom because he lives in Girona, Spain. And
yeah.
so just the whole thing, sharing it all, and then sharing that day with Allison Tetrick, who happens to be from my hometown as well. We've
Yeah.
spent countless hours riding together, and then Jay Peterberry, another dear friend of mine, also in that same class. Um, and then Miguel Crawford, circling all the way back. This brings everything full circle back to the Grasshoppers. Miguel Crawford, the race I just did last weekend, Miguel
Yeah.
Crawford was the founder of those 29 years ago. Um, a bit ahead of the gravel game here in Sonoma County, putting together these really fun mixed terrain events that like challenge bike choice, challenge bike handling because there's pavement, there's single track, you're running through creeks, all the things.
Yeah.
So to share the stage with him too was really, really rad because he was foundational. His series was found, I did the very first Grasshopper 29 years ago, and it was just dumb luck that I happened to find myself in that circle of people at that time in my progression as a cyclist. And those events really lit my fire. And hence still doing them, right? 29 years
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
And his series is doing really well. I'm actually writing an article right now about last weekend's event for Fausto Mag.
Okay.
So anyway, that's just a way of saying like that evening sort of just wrapped up all these different threads of my life. Um, and then to have so many friends in the room, other people that have impacted my career, coaches, friends, sponsors, people who believed in me. Um, and I wanted to just tip my hat to them to thank them because we never know, like, and this sort of gets to what I said about the ripples of Stoke, like the
Yeah.
goodness or the joy we put out in the world. We never know how that's going to affect other people's. We can put it out there and it's probably going to touch somebody in some way, but I wanted to let them know that them sponsoring me or believing me in a racer had a huge impact on me and has now allowed me to continue to chase these dreams, which maybe inspires others, and it's just like this wave pool that hopefully builds. Um, and so, yeah, it was truly just a magical evening. And I appreciate you listening to my speech. I spent a lot of time thinking about that and writing it and wanted it to be not too long, but thoughtful, right? And
Right.
honor those who've helped me get to where I am because we are a reflection of others in our lives, what they've given to us, and helped us do. And I definitely wouldn't have been on that stage without a lot of other people in the room. My wife putting up with me, riding my bike all the time, folks training with me, inspiring me, all the stuff. So yeah, and I love going back now to those ceremonies and joining the rides and seeing the next classes and um, it's just really, really a deep honor to be part of that, because it's a relatively like young movement too,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was dumb luck that got me out there in the first place, and I'm stoked that I happened to catch the gravel wave at the right time. And I don't plan to get off my longboard anytime soon, bro. I plan to continue to ride this party wave as long as I can. Thanks to folks like Giant, who
Yeah.
people don't know you work for and who've been behind me for 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun. And we're more reflective and thankful now as we age. And
Yes.
yeah, I just have an immense amount of gratitude for that event and the people that have helped me get to where I am. So thank you for bringing that night up. I don't, I've thought about it a lot since then. But yeah, it was just one of those like just foundational, monumental moments in my life that I'll never forget.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I mean, I wanted to hear your speech because, I know you're quite a wordsmith, right? You've written a lot of stuff, you've made movies, you've done all kinds of really cool projects, and I know, how I first learned about Unbound was reading the Dirt Rag
Oh,
article that you wrote,
no
and
way.
and at the time you were an old guy then,
Yeah, I was an old
by
guy when I won, Mike. I was
right,
45. I was
right.
old when I won.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and I was reading that as someone that's a little older than you, and I was just
Yeah.
thinking, man, this guy, the stones on this guy, man, what a savage 45 and beating the Young Bucks, So and then the whole concept of the thing was just the seed was planted,
Yeah.
and I've read a lot of your stuff, like I said, and so I knew the speech was going to be something that you wouldn't take lightly and you would prepare for, and
Yeah.
I just think that it must be like the ultimate. I think anybody that does something that they're really passionate about and they have a whole support system of people, and very few people get the opportunity that you had, right? To
Yeah.
get up on
Yeah.
a podium in a room full of people that have inspired you,
Yeah.
and really just to give thanks.
Yeah.
uh that must have felt just amazing, right?
It it really did. I mean, I'm so appreciative that you listened to it again, because I didn't want that speech necessarily to be about me. I
Hmm.
wanted it to be about those in the room that have helped me be who I am, on the bike and at that really big event, Unbound. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk about others and the impact that they have had on me. So hopefully that it inspires other people to continue to bring someone in, share your passion with them, share your knowledge with them, encourage them to do something that scares them a little bit on the bike, because you never know, like, again, back to this rippling out, how that might impact them or impact others in their community. And we need as much positivity, and love and joy in our lives, particularly in this day and age.
Yes.
And bikes bring us that. Bikes bring us camaraderie. Bikes bring us community. Bikes bring us challenge. Uh, so yeah, truly magical night. I'm looking forward to going this year and celebrating the new class. Jim Cummins is going in. He's the founder, one of the founders of
Mhm.
Unbound. I've spent a lot of time with Jim. I mean, I will never forget that finish line hug with Jim in 2015. He was the first person I hugged. So as soon as I found out he was going in, I called him, and I hadn't talked to him in years, but we were like right back on the level. Um, that doesn't happen every day with other things in our
Right,
lives. There's
right.
something about sport, challenging ourselves, shared suffering, shared joy, all the things that come, right, with bike
Yeah.
racing that bond us in different ways. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just the bike is beautiful, man,
It
in
is.
so many different ways. The bike is beautiful.
Yeah.
It exposes us to new people, new biomes, new challenges. Uh, it could be a source of your work, all the things. Yeah, the bike is beautiful.
It really is. And yeah, I want to just say mission accomplished because the only thing on the speech because the one thing where you made it about you was you said I'm the kind of dirtbag who marries his best friend's sister. But other than that, it was about everybody else. It was awesome, man. I
Oh,
loved it. And
that's
yeah,
awesome.
so and
True.
I could relate to like not saying like I wasn't envious, but I thought, oh man, I wish I could have a moment like that where I could really just shower praise at everybody that's given me whatever it is that I have,
Yeah.
in my on my bike and in the cycling life. And yeah, so I really identified with a lot of that.
I think what you just said is a good reminder for all of us to, give more compliments, express more gratitude just in our daily
Yes.
lives, whether it's on the bike and work, whatever it is, because when you compliment others, when you express gratitude, thankfulness, like makes you feel good,
Yes.
makes them feel good. And like it's a good feedback loop there. And so yeah, I just, we need to be grateful for what we're able to do. Um, and the more we can express that, the more it might inspire others. So yeah.
Beautiful, man. Well, listen, I let's end on that because that's a
Okay.
great sentiment, and I know you have something to do, and so we'll get you out of here on time.
Thank
And
you.
Yuri, it's always a pleasure. I love every time we get a chance to do anything together. It's always a good time, and you bring the stoke, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you in Emporia. Hopefully, we'll get the chance to see each other before then. Maybe.
I hope
Uh,
so. Let's get out for a ride, dude. You need to do some big rides. So maybe we can sync up and I'll talk to coach, make sure it jibes with whatever you're doing and we can go out and do a day because I know how hard you throw it down. We had that hundo, whatever that was a couple years ago, and
yeah,
you tore
yeah.
my legs off. So yeah, let's do it.
Well, it might be a different story now, but but yeah, and you also have maybe we plug the Bantam Classic
Ah,
coming up in May,
sure. Yeah,
right?
thank you. Yeah, May 9th, Petaluma, California, Bantam Classic. You've probably never heard of this event because it's local and grassroots. I've been doing it. This is year number 13. We took a break last year. Um, it is more of a party than a bike race. I have a fun, like 45-mile loop out here in the backcountry roads of Petaluma. There's absolutely zero gravel, but there is some bad pavement out there. Really, really fun, punchy, sort of like spring classic. That was when I came up with this idea, Mike. It was
Yeah,
modeled after the bergs and the rollers of the spring classics. The hills are popping green right now. Um, and then, yeah, we throw a big party afterwards, raise some money for the local high school team, have some good swag, sponsors like Giant and Goo and Castelli and Old Kaz beer is on, and all these things come out, and we just have a really, really fun day celebrating the community. Yes, there will be a podium for one, two, and three in the men's and women's, but it's not about that. I don't even have a place where the results live. People always ask me, "Can I look at past results?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got to come to my garage because they're on binder paper stuck to the wall." I don't have a website or anything like
it's
that.
very prestigious this
It
event.
is. And I do want to shout out Mike's Bikes because Mike's Bikes helps with the finish line. Um, and there'll be somebody there writing down the results, but that's the only way you're going to end up on the results if you stop and tell them where you are because they don't live anywhere else but my garage and a piece of binder paper. So yeah, come out May 9th. We've actually had a lot of people sign up already, which
Hmm.
is super exciting with very little promotion. So it's something my wife and I really love doing. She's instrumental in helping me pull this thing off, along with Cycle Church Cycles too, another local bike shop. Sort of Cycle Church and Mike's Bikes. We team up to help make this a great day, and there'll be really, really good food and music and DJ in the morning, coffee. Like, come hang out. Great crew of people. See a beautiful landscape. Do it.
Yeah, no, I went a few. I don't know, several years ago with our mutual friend Claire Sale,
Yeah.
and and the vibe is just really cool. And that year, there's somebody on the front porch just singing and playing a banjo, I think, or
Yeah.
something. It's just like, wow, this is a little different cycling event going
Yeah.
on here, and
Yeah.
everybody's just the community there is super fun. Yeah.
That was the COVID year, man. That was the COVID year. I didn't hold it. And that
Yes.
was Aaron Harris playing his electric guitar on my front porch. And we kind of partied in my front yard
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
And we called it Bantam Light that year
Yes.
because it wasn't like a true full force event. But I'm so stoked you were there because, yeah, we literally partied in my front yard outdoors.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, Aaron will be back ripping it up on the guitar. He's come every year.
Great.
Cool story there. He's local farm kid too. Grew up on a farm just past where I grew up. Local Petaluma guy, amazing musician. So, and then there's my mom in a chicken suit. So, like, you don't come for the ride. Come for my 81-year-old mom who's been dressing up in a chicken suit every year, and we'll be out on course giving you high fives and hugs. Like, if that's not worth the reg fee, I don't know what is.
And
So,
we wonder why you're so full of stoke, right?
yeah.
Mom's in a chicken suit.
The chicken didn't fall far from Mother Clucker. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, Yuri, thanks again, man. Appreciate it. And best of luck. We'll all be watching and rooting for you at the end of May. And I know you're just gonna have a blast doing it and stoking everybody. But yeah, I'm encouraged. I can't wait to see how it all plays out, man. It's good
Yeah,
stuff.
me too, Mike.
Yeah.
Let's definitely ride together, and I appreciate all your support on the giant side of
Oh,
things.
for sure.
And yeah, let's have a great year, dude.
All right. All right. Thanks so much, Yuri. Yep. Take
Peace.
care, buddy.
Ciao, brother.
Yeah.
If you like what we're doing here at Cycle Jerks Podcast and you would like to support us, please check out our website at cyclejerkspodcast.buzzsprout.com. Hit the subscribe button. We shout out all subscribers, so get on it. Another way you can support the podcast would be by giving us a 5-star review on whatever streaming platform that you're listening on. We appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Cycle Jerks.
Hey, get out of the road, dummy.
Cycle Jerks Podcast.